You're listening to the Call Kent podcast, where Kent C. Dodds answers questions and gives insights to software engineers like you. Now, let's hear the call.
Hi Kent, I'm Alexandra Spalato, Developer Relation at Storyblock, and I'm speaker at the Remix Conf and at GSD Canarias with you, so super happy and excited about that. So my question is about finding the best subject to speak at conferences about Remix. Because now I'm talking about hydrogen, which is super nice, but for certain conferences, they find it perhaps a bit commercial because it's linked to Shopify. So first, I want to create a new subject that will be also about hydrogen, but more generic, perhaps talking about personalization in e-commerce. So and not rebuilding the complete talk because I don't have time for the coming soon conferences. So I wanted to have your insights about that. And finally, building another talk and CFP for the conferences after summer about Remix. And I have many ideas because Remix is so rich about things that we can do. So one of my ideas would be how to enhance your developer experience with Remix, and talking, for example, about the fact that we don't need the state management and other many nice things. Another idea would be about full stack components, but basically everything can make a talk in Remix. So I wanted to know your insights and to know what would be the more interesting for the community and that perhaps has not been treated, etc. So thanks in advance, and I wait for your answer.
And that was the call. Here's what Kent had to say.
Hey, Alexandra, thank you so much for the call. This is great. Yeah, I think the question generally is just like, how do I know what talk to present? And I can appreciate the concern of speaking about hydrogen. It does have a limited appeal. I mean, it is a very cool and interesting subject, but yeah, there are relatively fewer people who are going to be interested in hydrogen relative to the broader web ecosystem, because a lot more people, or there are relatively fewer people who use hydrogen. That said, going deep on a specific technology can be really fun for and underserved for a lot of people, and so don't discredit your talk for that. And I'm really looking forward to your talk at RemixConf. I think a lot of people will find it really interesting, especially since Shopify has really invested heavily in Remix, and seeing how Remix is being used by Shopify to make their customers' experiences better, I think it's going to be very interesting. So anyway, as far as your other ideas, like making that talk more generic so that it's not specifically about hydrogen, I think is interesting. A lot of people are interested in e-commerce, and trying to make it so that it's not less of a how-to and more of a how it's done sort of thing. So like try to find ways to make the topic generally applicable to anyone who's doing e-commerce versus just people who are using hydrogen. So rather than here's how you use hydrogen APIs, talk about here are why hydrogen APIs are the way that they are and the problems that they solve. And so if you're using an e-commerce platform, make sure that you're thinking about these things. That could be an interesting subject there. As far as like other ideas for talks, whether they're Remix or otherwise, I think that the main goal should be to focus on something that you're personally really excited about and you either have experience in or want to get experience in. So what I mean by that is like, I think it's totally fine to submit talks for something that you haven't actually done yet. So, for example, one of my very first international speaking engagement was for a talk proposal I made that was using Angular and React in the same application. And I knew that it was possible. I just never had done it before. And so by getting accepted for the talk, I had to figure out how to do it. So I wouldn't recommend doing things you're not sure are possible as proposals, but it's totally fine to propose something that is on a topic that you would just like to learn more about. Now, on the flip side, it's the kinds of talks that I think are really, really interesting are the ones where it's kind of telling a story of personal experience, where we did this for 3 years and here are the things that worked well and here are the things that didn't work well at all. Those are very interesting talks, but also the mad scientist type of talks where I combined these two technologies in a completely strange way, and it ended up being really awesome. Like at RemixConf last year, we had a talk about 3D and Remix, and it was just like the coolest thing. So and Rust and Remix, like that was also very cool. So I think there's a lot of different things, and the core idea is what are the things that you're personally excited about, where your excitement will just kind of come out naturally as you're talking about it, or things that you're personally interested in, or things that you personally have experience in. Those are the best kinds of talks. So like you said, there are just countless things that you could do as talks about Remix. It's just a very wide range of things that you could talk about. And so the trick will be, okay, which of all of these things should I do? And I suggest just do the things that you're personally interested in. So if full stack components have your interest, then talk about full stack components, make your demos, and especially useful if you've actually used full stack components in your own app, and so you can show how that improved DX or UX in various ways. If you're excited about the fact that Remix means no application state management, then that's also awesome. And you can talk about that and maybe show a before and after or something like that. There are a lot of different kinds of talks you can give. You can have the live coding style that requires a ton of practice, but is very engaging and very interesting. I really enjoy those personally, but can be really intimidating to do that. There's also the like technical shows screenshots of code approach, and that's also can be pretty interesting. And then there's the more high level, like now we've got diagrams and charts and things showing kind of architectural patterns or trade-offs or the characteristics of a certain architecture. That can also be very interesting. And these can be mixed and matched as well, depending on how much time you have for the talk. And then, of course, there's like the soft skills type topics as well, where I'm working with these engineering teams and how do I work with them in an effective way, and how has Remix helped us to work more effectively together. And especially with your experience over at Storyblock too, I'm sure that there's a lot to be said for CMS type talk as well. Like how do I manage tons and tons of different contributors and tons of blocks of content and components and things together. That can also be very useful and interesting too. So whatever you're most excited about is what you should be talking about. And I hope that is helpful to you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
This has been the Call Kent podcast. Learn more about Kent at kentcdodds.com and get your own questions answered at kentcdodds.com/calls.